In this video, we'll look at how to fix up photographs. So we begin with a photograph, and we can see on the faces that we have different blemishes and problems of sorts. So there's a couple ways that we can fix these. Let's begin first with how we airbrush a photograph in Photoshop. So what we want to do first is we want to unlock our background layer. We can just put that in the trash. Then let's duplicate our layer. So we come to Layer, Duplicate Layer. We'll hit OK. And there we can see we have two of our layers, one, two, of the same image. Now what we want to do now, we have our top layer highlighted. We want to come into Filter, and we're going to come to Blur, and we're going to select the Gaussian Blur. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so I can see more of these faces, and I'm going to put it at about 6 or 7 pixels. Now it really depends on your photograph, so play around with it to see. I hit OK. Now what I'm going to do, this is the layer that's at the top. Okay, so we can see that blur there. I'm going to take this layer, I want to put it at the bottom. Okay, whatever layer is up on the top is the one that will say. Now what I want to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to get my eraser tool. Okay, and I'm going to go up. I'm going to put my eraser up to about 79, maybe a little bit bigger. Now it really depends on what your photograph looks like. This is a high resolution image, so mine is bigger. My eraser is bigger. This image is 300 dots per inch, 300 ppi. And what we want to do, this is really important, we want to put the hardness of our brush down to 0. Okay, and we want to lower the flow to about 50%. Now this is working like an airbrush. So what I can do, zoom in a little bit, is I can come in and I can start to go over this. And what you can see here is the blur underneath is what is showing through. And we can get rid of some of these little spots that are here. Now let's take a look at another tool or two. So we come over to this right here under the eyedropper. We have the spot healing brush. What we can do with the spot healing brush is we can zoom in to a place where there's a blemish, and we can click, and it pretty much can get rid of that blemish. Now what we want to look at though is we should probably make the hardness of the edges to 0. Then we can click, and we can see that those little blemishes are all gone. Now it really depends though. So I don't like that. It picked up something that I didn't want. It really depends on where that blemish is. What this is doing is it's selecting, making a selection of the pixels around it, and then blending it. So it works perfectly sometimes if there's just a little something. Now let's come in, let's take a look. We can see that this is a runny nose. Lovely. We can get rid of some of this by, we could say, taking some of these pixels and blending them in with this. So how would we do that? Well, we would use the healing brush tool. The way the healing brush tool works is we hit Option, come to the part that we want to, it's kind of like the clone tool. We want to copy these pixels right here. I hold down Option, and I can see that's looking through, it's like a target. I load my brush with that, and then we can see, hold on. So I hold down Option, then I click my mouse. Now I can see that I've loaded this now, these pixels with those pixels right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down my mouse, and I can click. Now I can see the crosshairs to the right of the circle. Okay, that is where I am copying these pixels from. I can see these pixels going down, but when I release, what this did was it blended those pixels with the pixels that were already there. So I'm going to do it again. I hold down Option, I load my target, I come in, I hold down my mouse, I click, I'm holding down my mouse till I move around. I can see this on there. I release, and what it does is it blends it in. Okay, so, and again, coming back to my eraser, I can continue to work and try to fix up these photos. And again, it really is, finding this balance to fix these blemishes. But in a nutshell, that's pretty much, working with the blurs is pretty much how we airbrush a photograph. Okay, now one of the big things with this image would be these big bumps on the top of his head. So how can we get rid of those? Well, we could start, with our, and actually right there's that red patch. We could start with the blur and erase this out and see how that goes. But we still can see this big bump on his head. So what could we do? Well, let's begin and start with, once again, with this tool, the healing brush tool. And again, we do with the healing brush tool, we hold down Option, we get our target. I'm going to copy these pixels from right here. I'm just going to make my brush a little bit bigger, my pixel a little bit bigger. And again, I'm going to put down the hardness. Okay, let me make this up a little bit bigger. Let's go up to 50. This is a high resolution image. And you'll find that images that are high resolution, you'll need more pixels. All right, so I'm going to hold down Option. I'm going to load these pixels in here, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to copy these pixels right here. We'll let it blend and see what happens. I'm going to do the same right here. Option, click. Okay, now it's still, the bumps are still there, so sometimes you might just have to go right for the clone tool. Now the difference between the clone tool and the healing brush tool is the clone tool will copy the pixels exactly. So we come right in to the clone tool, we make this a little bit bigger, hold down Option, works the same way, click, and then what's happening is I'm copying these exact pixels. All right, so there we have that. I'll come on over to here, Option, click. I'm going to copy these exact pixels. Let me zoom in, see if I see it. Still can see it a bit. Let's go into the history and look at the first picture and see what we think. So if we come back into our history, we can see there's where we were. There's where we ended. Now, he definitely has got a big, who knows what happened to him, but something usually does. But we could still continue to work on that, and really to get rid of bumps like that, they may be the thing that you want, to really zoom in with. So let's do this one more time. And again, I'm going for the clone because I want to copy the exact pixels. Option, click. I load the target. Those are the pixels that I have. Now, what's happening, see, it's starting to get down into another area. Hold down Option, click. Hold down Option, click. Hold down Option. Up, so I got some of that black hair there. All right, now it might be a combination next of then coming back in one more time with, even the spot healing brush tool. Didn't work. If that one doesn't work, then work with the healing brush tool again. Option, click. Come on in and mix those pixels a little bit. Okay, so we can see how this is now starting to work a little bit better. We'll zoom in, and voila, for the most part, his big eggs on his head have disappeared. Thanks for listening.